Welcome to the Amazing Cities and Towns podcast. I'm Jim Hunt, your host, and today's episode will focus on a very important issue affecting local governments throughout the country. Our guests are Mr. Angelo Consoli, president of the Fraternal Order of Police in Prince George's County, Maryland, Lodge 89, and Colleen Hilton, a licensed therapist and founder and CEO of Alli Connect, a Seattle-based technology company that assists in finding the right therapist for mental health care. Let's go first to Angelo. And Angelo, I'm a father of a police officer, and I recognize myself that I know so little about what, the experiences, how they happen and what happens, because quite honestly, my son doesn't share a lot with me in that because I think of the serious nature of it. So
throughout my career, it's even changed. When I first came on the department, it wasn't something that people talked about too often. It was something that I guess most guys that were contemplating it or weren't feeling good, kind of felt they had to deal with things themselves. And I think a lot of it boiled down to what kind of ability you had to deal with the issues, whether you had outlets or family that you could talk to. The only issue now is the officers want to make sure it doesn't affect their job, doesn't affect and that there is confidentiality in the system, and that they're going to get the help when they ask the help, because it's a big step to ask for it. Right. And I think the other thing to look within it is, for a lot of officers, part of the job and everything is people do look at you as being able to handle things and take a lot of weight on your shoulder. And people don't realize that, at the end of the day, we are human, and we see some of the worst things you could ever see or imagine in life. But we also have, just within the day, the monotony of the job that's kind of boring and long, but you can, a snap of a finger, all of a sudden be at the highest stress level you'll ever be for the day. And for some officers, I think the stigma that came with it is I can't admit that I'm broken or that there's an issue or that there's a problem. But I think people are realizing now that, you're not doing anything any different than the rest of the world's going through, and that you are allowed to have, feelings. But the important thing is to take care of them, because, with the right help and with a right support system, you can make it through and you can still be a productive member of any police agency.
But I believe first responders are inherently so much more resilient than the average individual. You don't get into this career if you can't already handle quite a bit. I became really passionate around kind of ending what we have now around this kind of trial and error, throwing a dart down a dark hallway, hoping you land on a therapist who has availability, but rather helping people find the right therapist in the right moment, preferably proactively at the very first day of their career, so that they can maintain their resiliency. Which goes to Angela, one of your first comments was, when they raise a hand, we've got to be right there with the right support, or we're going to miss that moment. In founding Alli Connect, I'm really driven to help people find the right therapist the first time in the moment that they need them, and using technology to really expedite that process, so that we're reducing the amount of trial and error and ultimately human suffering.